Okay, this is the EAC meeting for October 4th, first Monday of October. Let me start off by doing a roll call. Harry Bryant.
Just here.
Okay. Janet Cravanis.
Here.
Okay. Sheila O'Sullivan Feeney.
Present.
Bruce Killen, I'm here. And I have Joe Pinto not here, Dane Shoemaker not here, and Cindy Mahalo not here. Let's start off with a moment of silence. Okay, pledge allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 4, agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting?
I move that it be approved.
Okay, second.
I second.
Take a vote on that? We do, okay.
Yeah.
All for approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All against? No one? Motion passed for accepting the agenda. Next one I have is public comments for the agenda items. Sheila, or Cheryl, do you have anything to say since you're the star of our public here tonight?
No, but I'm happy to help out in any business initiatives.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Next thing I have is the approval of the minutes from our September 7th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Take a vote. All those in favor of accepting the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, say no. No. Passes unanimously. New business. I'm going to kind of just switch 7.1 if it's okay to 7 and do 7.2 first. We're allowed to do that, right? Okay. Janet has been working hard on this solar energy initiative, and I thought it'd be a good time for her to brief us on what she's learned.
All right. Thank you, Bruce. I've been attending the Ready for 100 Delaware County meetings, Zoom meetings, and also the Montgomery County Zoom meetings. The Montgomery County one is run by Bill Sabie, who came to speak to the Environmental Advisory Council about 2 years ago. I consider both of these organizations a very good resource for how to move forward on some of the initiatives that are part of the sustainable Newtown Township that we're working on. So that's why I continue to attend those meetings. And this latest one, which was on last Monday, was about Solarize Delco County. So Solarize Delco. This was something that is an opportunity for residents to put solar power on their roofs. And they have an opportunity to get a very big discount, 26%, through the year 2022. And this is working with an authorized dealer for Delaware County. The program is spearheaded by Melissa Romano from the Haverford EAC. So she has been working with the approved provider It's going to be switching at the end of this year, but she's been spearheading and helping this program. So I thought it would be good for us to invite her to our meeting. She has said she's available on Mondays, and so that she could come to our November meeting to just get us all up to speed on what are the opportunities. I know that you placed in the minutes several brochure, or not brochures, but that is up there on the screen.
Mhm.
An opportunity to inform the residents about what actually is solarizing, and they would have an opportunity to speak with the representative. I really suggest we have a table event at some time. Tabling is an opportunity to get people more hooked into what's going on. But Melissa could come next for November and fill us in. She said she could do about a 15-minute PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if there are any questions.
The
From you all.
discount is on the installation.
Good question. I'm not sure if it's on the product itself or just the installation of it.
That's what I have.
Okay, well, that's why we're going to have Melissa
Okay.
come and speak
Okay.
with us.
You think she'll be able to talk about the economics of going solar?
I think
For a
so.
homeowner?
Right, yes.
And maybe the upfront costs that are involved in doing a
Right.
standard house?
Yes, and now this is also an opportunity for churches and other businesses to get this going as well. So it's not just residential.
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Sure. We're back to 7.1 on the agenda, which I thought will probably take most of the time this evening. And Suzanne, you're on the agenda here, I see.
I am.
She's
Okay.
in charge of this.
I am.
Oh,
Do you want to share with us, do you have something to share with us about the
Sure.
agenda?
I believe Steve Bradley had sent an email out to the board with items that fall under your guidance.
Mhm.
Cindy had responded with some of her opinions on that. I didn't know if anyone else had done it. Excuse me, what we're looking for, there's 4 types of responses that can be offered.
Okay,
One would be implemented, which means that it's already occurring. If it is, I need a link to demonstrate it, a document that demonstrates that the township is already utilizing this means for sustainability. The other one would be in the process with an expected implementation of here. Under review, and then the final one would be no action at this time. There is a page on the website that we built that describes this whole program.
oh, good.
And then the next page, there's a link to the next page that anyone can watch the township's progress. And it's broken down by the criteria that's on the spreadsheet. So as we complete things, implement things,
Mhm.
move forward, it's all going to be posted there. So anyone will be able to see the progress that we're making as a township.
Okay.
These items that Steve had sent you seem to fall under your umbrella.
Mhm.
So we would be looking for guidance from your council. Either this is doable, not doable. I
Okay.
think we're on the path for that. What I've done is set up a Dropbox and categorized it the same as the spreadsheet. So as we get things, we can keep them organized and then just update the website as we go.
Okay.
So I don't know, I don't know if you all have the email that Cindy sent today.
Yes. Oh, I just saw the header. I didn't know that, I didn't read the content.
A couple of them she has. The one question I have for you, it says programs by local government or in cooperation with nonprofit or private sector exists to address community health concerns, i.e. exercise program, feeding programs for children, the elderly, crime watches, accessible health care, exercise away from areas of pollution, of air pollution. So Cindy had noted that she thought yoga in the park would be something good. So I would need a brochure, or I'm assuming we could use one of the flyers that we had. The other one she commented on was the farmer's market.
Yeah.
So my question for you is, what about Garrett Williamson, the farm up there? Wouldn't that fall under this? Are any of you involved in that?
We are involved in that. I'm just wondering if that item is not covered under one of the other items. It's not on this list because they do talk about agricultural
Agriculture.
support.
I think there's going to be some items that are going to fall under multiple
Yeah,
categories,
yeah.
but that one came to mind for me with this particular item.
I
Pesticides,
question whether or not some of these would, because this has many different facets to it.
yes.
Like addressing the feeding program for children.
Mhm.
I'm not sure where our connection as an environmental advisor.
It may not be the whole need for that
Mhm.
directive or per se, but you may have a slice of it.
Okay.
So if I can get a slice from here, a slice from there, a slice from there, put it all together.
7. So when we say we could do this, it's not the whole.
No, it's whatever is relevant to you
Right.
as a council. That's what I'm looking for,
Okay.
feedback. Okay? The other one, and George, I'm gonna wait till he comes back, was the use of pesticides and herbicides.
7D.
Yeah, I'm gonna wait till he comes back because I think he can address that. The township just doesn't use those. I mean,
Mhm.
there's nothing written
Excellent.
apparently, but they just do not use those types of chemicals, period. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna demonstrate that.
Mhm.
I'll get it.
They'll sign off that they don't use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not doing it, it's pretty easy to write a policy saying won't do it and
We won't do it.
we'll comply because we're already complying.
That's right.
So does that require an ordinance?
No.
No?
I don't
Maybe
think
just a
so.
policy. We could look at doing a policy about it.
Let me go back to 7A. You had mentioned support the farmer's market and the yoga in the park.
Mhm.
You know, we're supporting those things, but they're not our projects.
Right.
Recreation is closer to
Park and
Parks and
Rec.
Recs for the yoga. That
Yeah.
they do all that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I do that for Parks and Rec as any of those programs, and also the children's programs, Zumbini and Walk 15. We've done a number over the last few years. We did Tai Chi. So, I mean, it's just not one year. I can give you multiple type of links that we've had.
Okay. That's, although she did note Park and Rec implemented. So do you think you have anything else under that?
Under 7A.
Yeah. And you know what, if you haven't had time, some of this is pretty exhausting, the verbiage and what they're asking for.
Yeah.
So maybe I would ask that you just take a look at each item. If you think of anything, let me know. Send me an email.
It'd be interesting to inventory the number of healthcare providers who have an office here in the township. Because with the mainline health, I think Penn Medicine has something here. And a whole bunch of rehab people, and they're talking about accessible healthcare. It may not be economically accessible, but it's certainly geographically accessible.
Available, yeah.
Another administrative thing. Do you want each of us to send individually our recommendations, or you want to funnel?
I think it might be easier if everyone funnels to one source and comes
That
in
might be better too.
to me, because I'm just gonna be getting them from, you're one of many
Right.
boards, commissions, committees. So it's
Okay.
gonna be a lot of information fast.
All
So
right.
if we can, just get from
Come
one
through me and
source,
I'll pass it to you.
that would be great.
Okay.
That would be
So we
appreciated.
haven't started that process yet. of
No,
Trying to
trying to get it done by the
figure out
25th
what we're
or something.
doing and funneling it to.
Right.
Bruce.
On the timeline here, our target is to get the first submission in by the middle of November.
Okay.
So that's gonna be a lot of legwork here between that today and that submission date. And you can see on the email that the request is by October 29th.
Right. So then you
Bobby?
would want what we've done or what we hope to do.
Or even if, you know,
Or
this
we-
just
it's
isn't
not out of
realistic
our,
at this point in time. Right.
So Bruce, do you want everything by, let's say, October 20th to you, so that way you can disseminate?
Yeah, and you can, if you get it sooner, that's fine.
Yeah, okay.
Just let it trickle. How you doing, Joe? Good. We talked about 7D, George is back,
Yes.
pesticides and herbicides. We don't
So-
make a practice of using those.
And that was part of the challenge when I was looking at it. We make a practice of not utilizing those, but we don't have a policy stating that we try not to utilize those. So
Mhm.
I don't really have anything to put on the website, even though that is in fact, you know, the philosophy that we use.
I would write it down. And then somewhere.
Well, and we were trying to decide whether that's what we need to do. I mean, if that's what's necessary to have something there, then maybe we do just write a policy that,
Mhm.
you know, we don't use them unless it's, you know, absolutely required.
Then how do you control
Yeah.
the invasives if you are not using the pesticides or herbicides?
Hmm?
How do you control invasive plants if you're not?
The old fashioned way.
Are you using native plants, which we can crowd out the invasives?
That is correct, Janet.
Yes, thank you.
No, I think a lot of the time, again, we don't use those materials, so they either wind up getting pulled themselves or certainly through volunteers and all that, that anytime volunteers come, they just hand pull things.
Uh-huh. Okay, good to say. too.
Yeah.
It shows community involvement.
Mhm.
So does everyone kind of understand the gist of this tiny little project?
Yeah,
Tiny.
if you could flip, Steve, to I put together a form. You may have a form already, but I put a form together for us to submit by or to at least gather our information. That's the form. I put that together, thinking that that's what you might need from us. You can, where we'd have, the date we submitted it. I use trash collection as an activity because we had talked about that. I put a description of the activity. I put it where it fits in terms of the strategic plan. And then finally, I can't read what I did
The
next.
item.
Yeah, the item number that's listed, and then I finally put the status of where we are on that.
Right.
Is that the kind of,
That's perfect.
okay,
That is really great.
okay. So I'll send that form out to, you can make it a Newtown Square form and change it the way you want to.
And do you have on there a website, a
Documentation link or something?
document?
Well,
Some of these, they need to be substantiated through
Yeah,
a link
yeah.
or,
okay. Well, we can do, we'll get you this, and then we don't have a site to put them on. So it'll all be Dropbox, right? And then you can,
you'll send them to me.
Yeah.
I have the Dropbox. It's pretty convoluted, pretty
Yeah.
detailed, so there's only 3 of us that are gonna
okay,
put our hands in
all
there.
right.
So
So
would
would
you
you,
send that form in blank to us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
we can send it back to you.
That's perfect.
Good.
You're hired, Bruce.
You'll be the fourth.
No, I don't want to be for it. Next one we had is 11A, municipality works with schools and local nonprofits and organizations. We've been lax in that area. We haven't had gotten much traction at the school level. I began to develop a relationship with the former superintendent, and then she moved on, so that didn't work out. So we've got to figure out a way to, get hooked into what the school does. I know they have some environmental initiatives, and Janet, being a former school teacher, you want to try to take a lead in getting us into the organization?
Be nice to, I'm sure they have a lot of enthusiasm
Mhm.
for recycling and for the environment. And we really need to tap in and see what they're doing and see
Mhm.
how we can support them. I know we tried a few years ago to go through the science department chair. Schools are very well stressed, I would say, especially with their time. So we want to make sure that we're not trying to impose a program on them that they don't have time to implement. But I'd like really, and Paul and I went out last spring before the close down. We were going to be working on trying to work with their conservation committee within the high school.
Mhm.
So if we could ask for their input rather than us giving input to them, that's the way I would like to see if we can approach it.
Can I put you down as the lead for that, please?
Yes.
I feel like we talked about this at one time before, but maybe possibly having a student from the high school be like a junior EAC
right.
member or something like that, just come to our
Great idea,
meetings.
yes,
That'd be cool.
And then, maybe get involved if to whatever level they want to by
Mhm.
observing our meetings and saying, hey, I would like to do so. I would like to be a part of that or
Mhm.
maybe something along those
Mhm.
lines.
I know Paul talked with, there is an environmental group at the high school.
Yes.
So I know Paul had tried to bring them in for Parks and Rec to get in for planting. They were actually at the Circle at Sundown event, and that was the AP group that did that cleanup for that.
Okay.
So maybe touching, Paul will know all the
Right,
details
yes.
of that as well. Bring them
That's
into
great.
it. But that's a great suggestion if they get included as well.
And the music teacher.
Yes.
I don't know his last name, but he's been very involved with helping us plant at the up up.
Circle at
Drexel
Sundown,
Lodge.
yeah.
Right, so he would be an in for knowing who to contact. Well, so I think I have his email.
And again, the EAC has a great history of working with some of these groups, even though it might not be, officially documented, but I mean, all the tree plantings in the
Oh, yeah.
past, with Sheila bringing students from St. Anastasia in, from the Boy Scouts that have come and helped out at different things. There's things that you've interacted with and taught them,
Mhm.
at different events and all that. And I
Yeah.
think maybe we just take some of
Pull it
that and put
yes,
it
right.
together.
Look back into our history and pull that up.
Yes, because
Yeah.
each year we've had usually 30-35 children from St. Anastasia and their parents at our Arbor Day, Earth Day planting. So,
Yeah.
and all of those forms were documented because we had to do the PHS forms.
Right,
So there is some documentation with that as well.
I see,
So,
that's all valuable.
Yeah, and you
Yes.
taught them while they were there.
Yes.
You
Oh,
taught
yeah.
them about tree planting and
Yeah.
about the importance of it.
Mhm.
Again, just 2 weeks ago, there was a Boy Scout
Boy Scout, yeah.
tree planting along the Goshen Trail.
Mhm.
And Cindy really wound up leading
Mhm.
the effort there. So it was, it was a great another opportunity.
So Janet,
Yes.
while you're there, 17B
Oh, no.
Mhm.
also kind of deals with education, public education. Maybe the
Yes.
school district might have something for that as well.
Well, I was thinking even the Solarize Delco to do a table event, that has to do with reducing air pollution and emissions. I live in an area where we don't have a gas line through our community, so I have to have oil.
Oil.
Unless I want to dig deep and get into geothermal, right, or electric. But, so I think there are a lot of opportunities for us to discuss air pollution and emissions.
Are there any community events coming up that we should be, is the farmer's market over?
It's over.
Yeah, it's done. Friday was the last one.
Sheila, you aware of anything that?
Well, the Gable Park planting is October 16th, and that's going to be
Yes.
an environment. Now, we did put a feeler out to the St. Anastasia's school, and we're asking, because they just started and they have to get the forms in, they have to go through the process. So they've given me they believe they're getting some
Mhm.
students, but I haven't had a firm number, and they know they're not giving us their full spring count. So I
Right.
did ask for at least, because I think Cindy said she was 20 some, she needs 20 some helpers for that. And she does have the Genius sign up right now.
Yeah.
Which she has a good number. So we were looking for tentatively about 10. So I haven't gotten confirmation, but that was our target number. And I do believe the person who's organizing that for the school will be able to deliver on that. But
Oh, good.
I got to wait till I actually have confirmation before I can confirm.
Okay.
One of our problems is always finding the audience to tell this stuff to.
I know. Well, YouTube helps
Yeah.
locally, because if they can't be here, people can still watch and listen.
That's true.
So that's usually a big help.
Yeah, and honestly, Janet just had the Audubon, I mean, you had the bird watch this weekend, and that would fit the criteria because it's education, it's environment. There was different age groups there. There was children as young as Joe was there with his little son and daughter. So they had young kids, old kids, so that was, that's a
Mhm.
great, that would actually be a nice link as well.
Sure.
We had children break down the night before about going to that, and then they had a fantastic time there.
Yeah.
Fantastic time.
It was a perfect day for it.
It was.
Yeah.
Right.
I was amazed at some of those people, how they can pick out the birds.
God.
Oh, I
It sounds
know.
How does he
incredible.
know?
One flight
know.
there.
How does he know what that is?
The sound alone.
Yeah.
Mike McGraw was incredible, like, just,
Mhm.
he could hear it, and it's over there, and you're like, my God, how does, he identified, the list was incredible.
Yeah.
Of what he had.
Mhm.
And we had 4 leaders that came out. And they all kind of knew each other anyway to start with. And they, I think, were the last ones to leave. They
Yeah,
were still
they were.
glued with their binoculars to the sky.
That's nice.
Right, it was.
So I have a question for you, 18F. Can you please tell me what sustainable landscape is?
Yes.
Oh, native
Any
planting.
idea? Native plant?
Native planting, absolutely,
There you
because
go.
it could crowd out the invasives. The roots grow deeply, and so therefore you don't need to water them the way you do with green grass, which really does not help to support any of our native flora or fauna.
The rain garden also,
Yes,
those
Yeah.
two, they're great opportunities right there. Because
Okay,
they are sustainable. And anytime you have opportunities to convert grass into, a non-grass thing, because grass by its very standard is not very helpful to the environment, because
No.
you need to be able, water to penetrate through. So converting grass into native yards or removing grasses and then providing sedges or other opportunities, there are great opportunities for.
another great table event, or a Zoom, or some way to get that message.
okay. You have a lot to put on your forms already.
I'll go back to 13C in terms of the greenhouse gas inventory.
Mhm.
Steve had mentioned at one of our previous meetings that they're doing an energy audit, or there's plan to do a
Yes.
township
That's
energy audit.
12A. The energy audit is 12A.
Yep, I'm sorry, it is 12A or
Maybe
12G?
13C is relevant too, but I was gonna stay with anything that identified the EAC, and the next one up is 12A. And I'm not sure why we're on there, but you are, am I right in saying, George, you are having the process, right?
We are going to be, yeah.
Mhm.
It hasn't
So we don't
started
have
yet.
any control over that, but it's on the,
Mhm.
okay. I'm sorry.
But the
I didn't
township
mean to
already
interrupt you,
does
but I think it would be
geothermal.
more useful.
You're already using geothermal, so
Correct.
you've already started that process. And you've done energy audits of your buildings before you even did that. So
We did.
you've already, so you're actually
In the
done that
process.
phase, and you're almost to the point of mastering it, because you've checked out what you've learned and you've even retweaking it. So
Mhm.
that's a.
And then
that's a
we
great
did
success.
it outside the building too. I mean, we
Yes.
did that for the streetlights, when all the streetlights were converted. We did that with the traffic signals when they were all converted to LEDs. So, there is some data that goes back a little bit.
Awesome.
Wouldn't it make more sense if we just went by numbers rather than jumping around that had our name by it, at least
Well,
initially?
we're working from a different document. Actually, the one that's attached to the agenda is what we're running down now, but I think you're bringing up a good point about items that are on that master list that shouldn't be ours. And maybe some items on that master list that should be ours.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Right.
No, that's fine.
We're working off of what Steve, I don't know what Steve.
What Steve put together, Steve Bale.
And I think in some of them, he went broad enough to make sure that we had an opportunity to be included in it, and, or maybe give suggestions how to move the dial as well. So, he might have just put us down and we don't think we're actively involved in it now, but maybe he's asking for us to find ways to help us move that or push that item forward.
Mhm.
Or even if you just peruse this entire spreadsheet, if
Yeah.
there's things that you say, wait, we're not on here,
Mhm.
but we do this, Send
Okay.
it to me.
All right.
It's fine, just because this was a starting point, a guesstimate,
Mm-hmm.
anything goes.
Yep.
Where are we?
We were talking about, well, in terms of a greenhouse gas inventory, this, no, 12G.
Right.
That refers, as I see it, to the entire township, just not to the municipality.
Right.
And we could take a broad swag at what our greenhouse gas admission is township wide, but it would be a guess, based on electrical consumption and some prediction of how many cars are used.
Okay.
So
And-
is this really like greenhouse CO2 rather than gas?
Yeah, CO2.
Yeah, but there's websites that have already calculated this because Philadelphia has done that similarly. They looked at Philadelphia County and they had their number established. And they kind of looked at the peripheral counties and they kind of assigned values to those. I saw it on a probably Penn State Community Extension class or something. Because they already,
The Department of Energy, US Department of Energy has a fantastic site
Yes.
that does exactly
Yeah.
that, how much greenhouse gas.
and they
per
already
household.
found them, yes, the value to each county and things.
That's where we got some of the data for the trash collection
I was
pollution.
gonna say, I've seen people stand up from time to time and state flat-footedly the emissions from some geographical area. And I always thought to myself, how the hell do they know that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
But there are, I guess.
There's sites that
Yeah.
let you extrapolate
Yeah.
based on population and geography.
And is that something that the township will get information on from the group that you're contracting with?
They're just worrying about the municipality.
Right.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, this is, I think what this is talking about is community-wide.
Community-wide?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I spent some time there. I'll sign up to do some further work to investigate what we can get out of the Department of Energy.
That'd be
Thank
great,
you.
Bruce,
Yeah.
thanks.
And is there anything from the county level, because they're pushing through environmental issues, anything that they would have? Because if they've already collected all this data, why reinvent the wheel too? I mean,
Yeah. I'm not sure how ramped up the township, the county is at this point.
okay,
But
They
we,
do have now a sustainability
Yes.
committee
Mhm.
within the county.
Mhm.
I know Steve Clark, who is on the Ready for 100 Delco, is now part of that. He's been appointed to that.
well, you know, the EAC meeting, I think October 20th, maybe we could ask those other communities what they've done, because some of them have done the sustainability and maybe where we can get some information from that would be
That's a
helpful
good
as well.
idea.
Yeah, that's a networking opportunity for EAC members, so that's going to.
I think a community-wide partnering with maybe Haverford close by and having some kind of event
Mhm.
would be a good idea. And maybe we can bring that up when we have that meeting on the 20th.
Mhm.
You're right, Suzanne. There's a lot of redundancy in some of these
There
numbers.
is.
For example, 17B, municipality supports public education regarding reducing air pollution and emissions.
Right.
I think it's been covered, but we'll give you
Give it to me.
a little write-up for that, so.
Janet's gonna help me
Yes,
with
but
that.
I put my star next to that.
Thank you, Janet.
What's next?
Mine didn't print white. 18F I can't read, other than National Resource Inventory.
18F,
Landscape.
that's E.
18F, yeah.
That's E.
Oh, it's an E? Okay.
Yeah, E is the natural resource inventory question.
Mhm.
And didn't we do that, when we've done that in connection with the comprehensive plan? It's probably a whole section.
It is, there's actually, I was looking that up. Chapter 6 is the natural resource protection plan. I don't know if it goes into the level of detail that maybe they're asking about, but I mean, it does certainly identify, the streams, wildlife habitat, wetlands, and all within Newtown Townships, core habitat. So I think it's certainly something to put in there and then maybe get built upon.
Doesn't MS4 or what we've submitted for MS4 for the state, doesn't that come in here at all? Talking about.
They catalog
maintenance
streams, right?
practices.
Streams and creeks. It's worth looking into.
Well, if it's streams and creeks, there was a lot of discussion in the Greer Park public meetings and about really kind of understanding the velocity of water and that whole entire process. So really, we could provide some documentation from that because that was, I mean, if you look at some of the information that was supplied to the community, and that was all through Zoom, and we had an incredible number of people attending those 75, 80%, 80 people on a Zoom call for a township meeting is a big night. And for some of those discussions, the contentious ones, there was great opportunities for learning that was. So they would really be great documentations as well.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is removing the dam and restoring the.
But
flow
the
of
hydrology and the whole process, Mike and Joanne and everyone walked them step by step on what the goal is and how to mitigate water and what it means and what erosion and all those other things. So they were really educational opportunities as well, I would say.
Absolutely.
Is the Greer Park consultant, is that, they're
Urban
done?
research.
They're all done with the project?
They've completed that phase. They're in the grant procurement phase.
Okay,
So that's that's urban research and that's applied ecological services, which I believe they've now been renamed as well. They were just sold out, but that whole group,
That was
It's-
Mike McGraw.
Mike McGraw, right? His company, it used to be Applied Ecological Services, but now I think it's RMS or something, but it's the same group, but we could provide the documentation. And again, that was recorded Zoom classes, so it's not like, you have to look too far to find
Yeah,
it.
that's great. I forgot that the Zoom was recorded, so
Yep.
that's all there.
That's
And
all
then there's
there and
all
it's on
that,
YouTube.
yeah, and there's the whole master plan, which has all the backup with
Yep.
it.
They're good links to have.
So maybe Sheila could take that one under your wing. and
Yeah, what number we're looking at this 17.
17F, is it, or an E?
18.
18.
18.
18E.
18E.
Mhm.
Okay, I'll take that one.
Can you link to a video, Suzanne?
I'm sorry?
Can you link to a YouTube video?
Sure, if it's the township.
I'm not sure with the submission. I'm definitely gonna try. Because that would include a lot of information.
Yeah, that would be great.
But you also have the township, it's on the website for the township. You have the
Yeah.
plan, you have the documentation, and you have
Actually, I
all
could
the,
link it to the meeting itself.
Right.
And they could watch the video.
and you have the plans, and you also have some of the summation sheets that Joanne did for the third meeting, where she broke everything down.
Okay.
So that would be great information as well. But I will get together what I can and submit that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Next on Steve's list is number 18F. Sustainable landscape maintenance practices are in place for parks and municipal grounds.
That's what we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
Yeah,
we
it
got
kind
a
of
good
circles back to
story
the
there.
same.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So Suzanne, in that case, do we submit the same thing to you twice? One for each?
I would
Yes.
just put it in that bucket and then I
Okay.
can separate it the way they want. This is how they want it
Okay.
broken apart.
Now, I understood Steve thinks that we're going to be into I believe it was the bronze or the silver category when you roughly had an estimation if that's where you were. So we just want to kind of not provide all the finishing information. We just kind of want to provide our baseline and then do the complete, or are we trying to get the highest score from the beginning is what I'm wondering.
We're not gonna get the highest
Right.
score, but any low hanging fruit, we definitely want to pluck
Okay, right,
off and
right.
put it.
But we
in-
want to show growth in this process.
Absolutely.
Okay, so hold back the big stars. So let's just get the ones and twos where we need to.
Or you know what, we may have a big jump, but then it may level off. So more is good. It's not,
So there's some
Yeah.
flexibility in
Yes.
moving toward gold and platinum.
yes.
Who's doing the scoring?
This committee, the sustainability PA. people.
No, I mean internally, don't we have to
Suzanne,
assign a number, our own?
There's a number assigned to each thing.
Okay,
If you look on the spreadsheet, you can see the point value.
uh-huh.
Right, yes, here.
But what about, okay, we don't self-score them. We just provide the data and they do the scoring.
I'm gonna self-score.
Yeah.
yeah, you
Okay.
can recommend anything from a 1 to 4.
So it makes sense in terms of our effort. Some of these items are worth more than others.
Right,
To
yes,
put our effort
exactly.
into the high value, big ticket line items.
High value line items are just as important if they're easy. Well, the
Mhm.
goal is now is just to get the things that are easiest since the timeline is
Yeah.
rather short.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're big volume items that are easy as well, that's even better.
Mm-hmm. When will be the second pass at this? So we'll get you all this stuff at the end of at the 29th. Are you gonna do this again 6 months from now, or is it gonna be
Probably,
continuous, 6 months?
probably. It's all gonna depend on how quickly I get everything and when I submit it, what's the next step? What are they gonna make me do next?
And I think what's great about this is we're not just doing this to get the score. There's really kind of a
No.
growth opportunity, and it's
Correct.
really kind of setting the bar of what are the standards that we need to do to improve, because at the end of the day, Newtown Square will be, the community will be improved by this. So
Mhm.
these are just targets for us to work towards.
Right.
And that's what I really think what's important for the community to understand. It's just not like going through the motions here.
No, and we've already made advancements early on, as we stated, so continued progress is the goal here.
Well, just to be controversial, I would say that the EAC has very, very tangential, I mean, with interest, but with no ability to ask that. 17A, B, C, D, E, and 18A, B, and C. They're all important issues. It's not within our
I think there are, though. We have an opportunity to encourage the supervisors if we have initiatives to make them aware of it. And I think all of our supervisors have been very open from an environmental standpoint. They have listened, and maybe, before I've seen a tremendous input from the supervisors. And I think also too, where I've seen it is interesting is by them being at cleanups, they've learned a lot more and have been involved in the process. So we can't enact the laws. We can encourage them by making them aware of the situation and lobby for these efforts.
So although it says EAC over here, we have not been assigned all of those.
Well, it says.
Like just
that
17B
the header
is the only 17.
Responsible committee is what it says.
Well, maybe we can do this.
With a responsible committee on
It's the same as these.
17A, B, C, D, E, 18A, B, and C.
But we've not been assigned those.
Let me propose this.
If,
In the codes is on there too.
right,
Maybe we should have a discussion with codes.
if you see EAC on this spreadsheet and you think it's relevant, send me what you think is relevant. It's fine. It's a lot
I'm
of
not
this.
being, I'm just thinking out loud. We don't have the ability to enforce steps beyond the anti-idling law. We don't even have the ability to enforce the anti-idling law. I mean, it's a nice idea, but I mean,
So I don't think we need to look over here at this side where it says
Yeah.
responsible committee. This
Yeah.
is not where we're looking.
that's
It's-
where I'm looking.
But we were, we were sent a list of specific numbers on this side, and that's the ones that we're discussing
Yeah.
now. Those particular numbers. So it's not
Okay.
all of those that say EAC.
Okay.
Right,
And if
some
there's
of the other ones that say EAC on them maybe things that we can already document or answer.
Right.
But the ones that I know were sent were ones that we need counsel on.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, all we can say, we'll go through this thing, provide input on all the ones that we can.
Right.
Right.
And maybe back out of the ones that we don't think are ours.
And just note that, so I
Yeah.
know what your feeling is, and
Mhm.
I'll just turn right from there.
But also, guys, so many of these things have layovers to other things that
Yes.
you're involved in the community. So each one of you have incredible experiences in the community. So you can bring information and knowledge from, what Parks and Rec is doing, what, CRC just is doing,
Mhm.
what's DCVA. So our other organizations that we have tentacles in, we can bring that information in as well. So
Mhm.
I think we really can, and especially like checking in with other groups like Paul and Newtown Square and Bloom and those organizations. They're involved in so many of these things as well. And have they been consulted with this sheet as, oh, great, perfect.
You're gonna have this type of meeting with each group?
Gonna try.
Yeah, make sure Paul's in, because he's in so many of these organizations.
That was the last one.
That was the last one of Steve's list.
Right.
What we could do, if you want to kind of blow through this thing and look at the EAC ones and collectively eliminate the ones that we don't think we have any control over. And then we can supply that information to Suzanne. Want to do that, work through this list and the ones that are ours, of course. So we can get done this evening. I'll start.
I mean, I don't mean to be crabby, and I want to do what we can do, but we recognize the limitations of this group.
Sure.
There's a word in the middle of our title.
Yeah, we're just support.
Advisory.
Mhm.
We're just advising
But
support.
we're in a position to advise the people that, and the organizations that can do these things, right?
Yeah, but I think, to Sheila's point, I don't think that when it says responsible committee,
No.
it means in the nature of going like this to the Board of Supervisors and saying, well, wake up on this issue. I mean, that can't be what we're doing here, because that's not,
Not productive.
Mhm.
it's
I think
not.
it's providing your input based on your knowledge. And you can see at some of these, there's multiple committees.
Right.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that you're gonna bang the gavel necessarily.
I think the last column, person responsible, like Public Works, communication coordinator, chief of police, that's where it really falls.
Even
Lot
one
of-
H.
Lot
let's
of
say-
Georges in that
Manager,
category.
manager.
So take, for example, one H, okay, they're talking about Green Fleet. So all we could do is maybe help support, what would be the initiatives? How could we go about it? What is something we could do? Maybe we could encourage, electric station recharging. So little baby steps. We can't go in and
Right.
say to the township, be 100% green in your fleet because it's not feasible and economical. So we just need to see what we can do in small incremental steps to move forward. That's all.
Well,
Mhm.
and sometimes in your positions, you're aware of things going on in the
Right.
community that maybe the government per se isn't aware of, but you may be aware that this group is doing this and this group is doing that.
Mhm.
And that's a huge benefit to be able to pull those things together.
And what
Well,
we've
I-
done in the past too.
And you know the topic. I mean, a lot of the topics, you know much more specifically
Mhm.
than other people will.
Right.
I think 11A is fairly on our plate, and we ought to step up the line on 11A. That's my view. I don't know how others feel about that, but we have my friend here to see that.
You want to put your name in that next column, Harry, for 11A?
Janet,
I have Janet.
Right,
you
I'm
can
going to
put
work
Janet.
with Sheila on the Catholic school front.
Yeah.
I'll
And-
pull up.
And remember too, we are advocates for change, and maybe if there's something that we think we all have great resources in this community, and maybe we could, tap into our friends' wallets and encourage things to happen as well, Maybe somebody would like to gift the township their estate and we could get green, all green vehicles. But I mean, where there's a will, there's a way, and we can encourage those type of things to happen. And if they want to gift their property to the township so we can make it into a park, that would be great as well.
You know what's going to happen if we don't make some assignments on these individual items? We're going to go home and there's going to be redundant input from people and there's going to be gaps. So maybe
Yeah.
we should go down the list
Okay.
and say, who's got to get back to me with which line item, even if it says, even if the response is, that's not ours.
Right.
Then we'll be in a position to make, this October deadline is kind of aggressive.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
then we'll be in a position to do it. So I'll work down this list from, it looks like the first one I see for us is 11A.
Okay.
And no, I see
7A.
7A is another.
One
one.
H is the
Oh, we
beginning.
talked about that.
One H is the beginning.
7D, healthy communities.
See, we're not there though.
Are you going off the master list? Because
I'm
one
going
H,
off-
oh,
You
okay.
have this one, it's a lot
Yeah.
easier to work with.
That's one,
Yeah.
1H.
Yeah,
Down here. First page. One H,
1A you said?
1H.
H, okay.
BAC, finance, BOS. So the green vehicle,
Oh, okay,
fleet assessment.
yeah.
That would be something, in my opinion, that no action at this time. I
Yeah.
mean, we're not
I
there
did, I
yet.
didn't submit it, but I did an evaluation of green vehicles for the township, just, high level,
Mhm.
see if it made sense. And my finding was it made sense, but there aren't enough vehicles to choose from right now.
Mhm.
So when these things hit mass market, the GMs are out there and the Fords are out there. There's pretty compelling economics to go with an electric vehicle, particularly from the maintenance side.
Mhm.
There's initial startup, you have the charging stations, but I think electric vehicles are, maybe 2 or 3 years away for the township. I understand you can't do police cars because of
They're on the
their
road
energy drain.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
But I think it's here. So I'll tidy that up and submit it to you guys.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
And
remember,
so is this,
Whole Foods has a charging station and SAP has, so there are a number of places in the township already that have that.
Yeah.
It's just that we have to build upon that as well. So could that possibly be something, if you've already had that discussion, what can you do to provide documentation? And then is that a beginning, you've begun the process? by at
Yeah, I
least-
didn't look past the township.
Okay,
I looked at a charging station or two for the township building and didn't look out in the community at
Okay.
all. And that, Jan and I were just talking about that as being an issue.
right, so one of the things that I've been learning from Ready for 100, it is about providing charging stations for people who don't have driveways and can't plug in on their own, in their own property, how we can, as a community, think forwardly and have an opportunity to provide charging stations that anyone who's living within that certain block would be able to plug into. And there are those options, and I'm hoping to have that discussion maybe at our next, we said, at our next meeting. So I think it's important for the township, they suggest that an ordinance be written so that it's okay to put these charging stations in. We can't exclude members of our community who don't have a way of charging. They don't want to go to Whole Foods and leave their car there to charge. There should be an opportunity for everyone to be able to charge.
So we'll cover that next
Okay.
meeting, because I have a bunch of questions about
Okay.
charging stations.
But it's not an issue for the township, we're just gonna put them in the garages.
For
But
us,
what if you
yeah.
don't have a garage?
No, no,
No.
I mean for
the actual
For the municipality.
Oh,
Mhm.
But I guess you probably know, out of curiosity, you know how many vehicle miles your fleet puts on in a year. So that, you know that,
I don't know it, but that's part of the equation, certainly.
but so that would go in your report if you
Yep.
found that.
Mhm. My reports, a lot of guesstimates involved in the report, because I didn't chase data. that
But that's where you
far.
start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So we cover 11H. I'll submit something, so I'll take ownership of 11H, and it's a 3-pointer.
Give me one.
one H,
Yeah, I mean 1H.
okay.
But it is a 3-pointer.
Where are you, Bruce? What?
He's one H, the very
Oh,
beginning.
1H.
Okay.
The next one.
The next one is 7A. If we're
Right.
just looking at EAC.
Yeah,
Okay, so I will work with that, but if somebody could also, I can get into what we've done previously, the health documentation, the exercise programs, but some of that, the crime watches, but like Town Watch, I mean, they should be there. The Town Watch, Newtown Township.
I don't think
Town
there's a
Watch.
formal town watch.
The Facendas started it. There was always one in the township. I don't know if they still do it, the Facenda family.
I don't
Yeah,
think
I would have to
so.
talk to the
But there is
police
a Newtown
department.
Township.
I don't think it's formally.
There is a Newtown Township Town Watch face page.
Hmm.
So there's Newtown Township Town Watch, which is a face page group, and their job, why they're in portion is to kind of share information back and forth about issues of making communities aware. So that is I don't know who's behind that page, but I believe the previous sergeant, Siobhan, I think her husband is behind, Siobhan Ann, remember her? She's one of the moderators on that Facebook page.
Hmm.
And previous police officer from Newtown Square, but it's Newtown Township Town Watch.
Okay.
There was a Newtown Township Town Watch that was set up back in the early 90s, and they used to do national lights out and all that stuff. So I don't know if that organization's still around or vibrant, but I know that was around.
The, I think the schools are doing free lunch for the kids now. They have been for the past 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, because of COVID.
Are they doing free lunches?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know Culverton is. I mean, I don't know. I'm assuming all of the public schools are.
So I can do the one part, if somebody else can jump in and do some of the other part with me on that.
instead of splitting an item, why don't we just give the whole item to you?
Okay,
And then you can
Reach
solicit
out.
input from other people to,
okay. Well, then anyone that has, if you could look at each one of these and please share abundantly with information with maybe go, whoa.
Yeah. We're being green.
we're not
Oh.
moving. it.
Yeah, we're not moving around enough.
Okay.
That's fine.
Did we just get a point for the energy?
Yes, let's do this in the dark.
Your flashlights.
The next one
Uh,
is 7D.
Outdoor recreation.
Next one I have is, did we get past 12A?
We're on 7D. We're going down the sheet.
Okay. 7D.
7D, that
Along
would
with
be,
Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's-
that would
Joyce
be,
is
us. That would be.
Yeah,
us.
that'll be on
That's-
us.
Okay.
good. Wish they were all that easy.
So George, you're going to be submitting things too?
Oh, we all
yes.
Okay.
I shouldn't have put it that way.
All right, 11A, then I will do 11A.
Okay.
At the next place where we show up.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I had a star here by me.
Are you, I thought you were the big one on,
I got 2 stories.
Yeah, I have Janet, but I thought you were gonna do it from a Catholic school side.
Okay.
And Janet's public
Good,
school,
good.
right?
We'll coordinate.
Okay.
okay.
You're closer to, not to pass stuff to you, George, but you're closer to 12A than we are.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah,
correct.
that's us.
Okay.
Yeah.
B,
Same thing with B.
and so is C. That's gonna
Oh,
be the
Yeah,
audit.
yeah, I
A,
think
B, and C, are-
we're all
that's the
gonna be
township.
us.
That's all gonna be the audit.
12B is the same deal. We can't really make
A,
a
B, and C
contribution
will
there.
be us for the audit.
Yep. I'm looking at 12C.
Well, if anybody for
D.
12A, B, and C can get that contact information where we were talking about from other municipalities, the EACs, where they can get that information to supply to George for, the gases and all that. That was from our the EAC class,
You're talking about
That's
the
a
township
extension.
utilization or the,
the township or the county, any information that we can supply, get back to George for that.
okay,
And that would be through other EACs
Yeah.
and through that group.
so in other words, we owe you some stuff, George, for.
Just not leave you hanging.
So who's gonna supply that? Who do I put down for the lead on that one?
I'll sign up for that.
Which one?
It's 12C, right?
I think if the whole collective.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
ABC
all right.
thing.
They overshadow each other.
Which one is that?
12 A, B, C, and D, they kind of all interlink about.
Yes, right.
You know, all we can do in E is just say, yep, we've got LED lights.
Well, George
Right,
knows
we
deal.
have that.
Yeah.
And I've got the backup for when we
Okay.
did the
All
work.
right. 12F has to do with, same deal. I think the energy audit's going to drive 12F. So all you could say is, you know, planned. I don't think it's,
Right.
you know, no activity right now. 12G, positive progress on the greenhouse gain inventory of migration, same thing,
Yeah.
planned, but
Communication.
no action right now. Again, we're on the list. Boy, it's easy to delegate to Public Works on some of these things.
But again, I think of the committee, so, and you see where it says Public Works Director and EAC.
Right,
You know, these are the kind of questions that I think the EAC would have the most interest in,
right.
you know,
Right.
and certainly you'd be able to give the best counsel
Mhm, mhm.
of all the groups.
Sure. So just from an administrative standpoint, you know, I said on 12E, we do anything, or you're gonna submit something to Suzanne
Yeah.
on the
I
LED
think I'm-
lights?
yeah, I'm
There's
gonna
not
handle-
much action on our part there.
Yeah.
Okay. 12S, again, that's the energy audit. We're interested, but are not driving it. 12G, oh, that was 12G. 12H, energy performance by key municipalities tracked using Energy Star Portfolio Manager and is reported yearly to the public. I don't know what Energy Star Portfolio Manager is. Have you heard of that?
Yes, that's the system that kind of tracks how efficient you are.
And-
So,
And yeah, and, you know, we've got work to do on that.
Good George. Good for George. George is so good.
The number 13A, actually, that's, looks like
B.
this, we're not on 13A. 13B, we're on for municipal support for providing a public program throughout the community and for the businesses to conserve energy, promote renewable energy resources, and mitigate carbon emissions. I think that fits into our sustainable Newtown Square business initiative partially, and I'll submit something there.
Okay.
Renewable energy sources, this could be solar panels.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right. And mitigate carbon emissions could be electric cars.
Mm-hmm. As part of the, actually, I'll talk about that later because it's a line item about the business sustainability thing. I'm at 13C. This is that Department of Energy thing. I'll see what I can do with 13C.
Okay.
A, we're not involved in. 14B, new construction and green building initiatives. This is something that when it comes to zoning for green buildings, that's way beyond what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Let's cross ourselves off.
yeah.
But that's, 14B is just municipal facility. It's not private.
yeah.
You're right, you're right,
So we could enact.
you're right. But it's still a Board of Supervisors
Okay.
decision. As is
But I think if
14.
we provide information and give them context and why they would want to make those initiatives, that's really
Mhm.
what we're saying is what we need to do. So if we're not hitting this mark, we need to maybe see what we can do in the future to address this issue, because how are we going to make them aware about it if they're not aware of it? And that's what the whole part of our
Mhm.
EAC is to do, is to take up these initiatives.
For this submission, though, it would be under advisement and maybe keep this
Move it.
list for you
Yeah.
to grow.
Yeah.
on.
Are we calling this future?
Right.
So we're at, I get 14D, is that right?
See?
14D, we're not listed.
No, okay, so we're off that.
Moving forward.
7C, I don't know why
We're not
16.
we're not
15A
listed,
either.
but numbers are out of whack.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
15A. Have, George again, have we looked at purchasing renewable energy for the,
So, we have, and right now, where we purchase the electricity from offers those credits that you can pay more
Right.
and purchase credits from somewhere that has produced the, wind and that kind of
Right.
thing. The challenge, and I guess the debate about that is that we're not actually utilizing the energy that was created by the wind or whatever. You're
You're paying.
it's basically on paper.
Right.
Yeah.
And and so we haven't taken advantage of that right now because it doesn't seem to have the teeth of what it is you're looking to try to do.
sure,
If you were trying to find somewhere that was producing wind energy, that might be a different animal than just, paying extra to put something on paper.
What consortium do you use for your, I mean, I know you
So
said,
currently, right now, it's bid through the Pennsylvania Municipal League.
right, is there any percentage of that that's renewable?
Currently, right now, I think the plan we're on,
I thought that was like a 10-90 split. I thought there was 10% of that was,
I'll have to look at that and I could get back to you. I know,
because they buy their power from an outside company, so they share that with
yeah, they
other.
get it through Constellation.
Yeah.
Through Constellation Energy. But again, through Constellation Energy, you can pick if you want to purchase these credits.
Mhm.
But the question is, are you really getting the wind energy if you're purchasing the credits?
Right,
Or are you just looking to
offset.
have it, show up on paper?
Mhm. From what I understand, corporations, that's how they're pulling it off, like
Oh, yeah.
the SAPs of the world are doing these carbon offset purchases.
Yep.
And they're claiming credit for it.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So basically what they're doing is they, pay a forest to, like in Ireland, in the EU, what they do is to get credits, you go into a consortium and, you want 1,000 credits. So then they forest this other land, they manage it, they take care of it, but you get credit for it and it's the way that they're selling. And they'll do other things to mitigate gases. They'll change the grain on cattle from one type of feed to another feed, which is less emissions of the methane gas, and they get carbon credits. So it's basically what's happening in America as well.
Mhm.
And you're basically paying someone else. You're basically like eating the donut, eating all that, but paying somebody else to exercise is what the estimation is. And getting credit for the exercise. But it's the way that it's happening. And that's really what the offsets are doing right now. And it's interesting because it's lucrative, but that's how companies get to have those green initiatives when in fact they're not really green initiatives, but on paper it looks good.
So I think there's more discussion that we need to have on that.
Okay.
I mean, if we're going to do something, we want it to be
Real.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, could the township do something with like solar panels and?
So we, and we are looking, actually working with Pico, we're looking at solar to see what the possibilities are. We are looking at, electric vehicles and plugs and those kind of things to
Mhm.
see what some of the possibilities are. We just a few weeks ago had a conference call with the folks at Pico that are doing that. We're not at the stage where we're ready to present anything to the EAC
Right.
and start getting some feedback, but we've started some of those things.
Hey, George, is there any partnerships that you can get into in order to promote charging stations and stuff like that?
like, I know that, like, for instance, like your companies that are changing to electric vehicles, they want charging stations because then they'll sell more vehicles, obviously. So like, I know Tesla sometimes partners with people. I don't know what the deal is with them, but I mean, is there anything like, has anything like that been explored or?
So we haven't explored it yet, but we have requested and been given the contacts of some of the other municipalities that are beginning this as well to see like kind of how they're making it work. Even things like what would charging stations look like here? What is that something that you would charge people? Is that something you would just make available if they were using the library? Would you want to make sure you have them that if you started changing the fleet over on vehicles that you could, say for example, some of the, like our Mack trucks probably never going to go that route, but maybe a runaround pickup truck might be able to. And, again, the police cars, maybe all the police cars wouldn't be able to, but maybe some of the administrative police vehicles might be able to. So again, we're kind of, the code department and the admin department, those kind of things. So we're getting into that. We just don't have a presentation ready, but you're right. I know what you mean about, trying to investigate partnerships.
Yeah, I mean, because I would think that they would just, if you gave them the space, they would put something in at their cost almost, or, maybe more beneficial cost worthy, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure it would start off as free energy in the beginning, and then of course it would be charged as it becomes more popular. We would get charged for it.
Does BBG have any recharging station? Because they are mostly apartments and condos in that new development, the Rockwell side. Are there any planned in there? Do we know?
I do not know the answer to that.
Because that would probably be, that's the type of community that would benefit tremendously from it. So maybe we look into recommending for developments or opportunities that have those apartments, because there's another development that's looking at an apartment type complex. So maybe putting in or suggesting to the supervisors or zoning or noting to add those in would be a way to accomplish it.
Next
For
time
something.
you put in any type of development, you have to put
Yep.
in.
You're gonna put it
Charging
development.
stations.
And that's what I was
Part of
talking
this-
about with this
Part of the deal.
opportunity. This company will come in and not have a cost to the township or to the residents. They will put in the charging station, and then you charge with your credit card. You just put your credit card in there and pull up to an empty charge place. And so this is an opportunity, and those are easily removed too. So they're not like put in huge blocks of cement. So it seemed like this is a really good option. And this was a company that is working through the Ready for 100. I trust them to use reputable companies' businesses. So I wanted next month, hopefully, we can have Jim Wiley come in and speak about it. And there is a webinar or a Zoom that I will pass around to everybody, and you can take a look at that. See, that was a couple of months ago.
That'd be great.
I'm gonna blow through these the balance of these quickly so we can
Yeah.
adjourn the meeting somewhat on time. The 16A environmental stewardship has to do with stormwater management. That's got MS4 written all over it.
It's got Cindy's name on it.
Yeah, we'll put Cindy there.
And I'll provide her the documentation. I'll give her the information about Greer Park.
Okay,
That-
that'd be great. Hold on.
B.
Yeah, 15B,
16B.
16B. I'll find it.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, you just did that. The municipality encouraged water conservation during the shutdown of the Pickering things. And the township used all of their facilities. They monitored the streets. They had the street sign saying it. So that was heavily promoted, I believe, with the township during
So that
that.
was Aqua, you mean?
That was
Yes.
Aqua, yeah.
Yep.
Send out emails every day.
Yep. Well, the township did their job to promote especially during a crucial time. So that was really important. So all we need to do is send that link in there.
Yeah, it's on the website.
Perfect.
You're gonna give that to Cindy since she's our water person.
Okay.
And she's not here.
That's what happens when you don't show up to a meeting.
But good catch on that, Sheila. Thank you.
I'm gonna do the same thing with, although, yeah, we're not on 16C, so we're past over that. 16, next one I have is down is 17A,
Mhm.
State idling law. I'm not sure
Yeah.
what role we can play in
Yeah,
that.
I think
There
that's
is a
gonna be
law,
us.
right?
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
that's
it.
us.
The idling law is a DEP.
Yeah.
Action and, you know, predominantly that would be the police department, although
Mhm.
really, when you read the law, it's the Department of Environmental Protection that are the enforcers of it.
Mhm, mhm.
Wow.
But we do, and so if you go around to some places where tractor trailers pull up,
Right.
you will see those signs up, like at Wawa,
Mhm.
and I think some behind like the Acme Shopping Center and all that they have the information
Oh,
posted.
yeah.
What, we discussed this before, because it came up with the idling thing came up with the schools. And the parents that drop the kids off at school don't
Yes.
let constantly leave their cars on. Well, there's a police officer there. So is there any way for that police officer to like put a sign up like
So
stop idling?
I'll tell you what's interesting, Joe, is that the law talks about trucks and big vehicles and diesel.
Right, so it's not necessarily.
It's not actually
Okay.
gasoline powered vehicles
Okay.
that are referenced in the law.
Gotcha.
Because I had to look that up when that came up at a previous meeting. And I
Mhm.
went back and read up on the law and I said, boy, okay, they're talking about trucks,
Oh, that's right.
school buses, and even school buses, they give them a lot of exemptions on it.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
You know, I thought about this after we discussed it a year ago. What would be wrong with a simple sign, you know, where people park saying avoid idling, kids at play or something like that?
And you're right, there's nothing wrong with that. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with making a recommendation, even if it's not the law.
Sure.
Well, we can put that on our EAC to-do list then.
Yep. And since Joe brought it up.
There you go, Joe.
Okay.
We gotta put a couple things on Dane's list too. He didn't show up.
Number 17B, regarding supports public education regarding reducing air pollution emissions.
That's Janet's
Um,
star.
Yes, right. I think we could use Solarize and also electric cars.
Okay. You want that, Janet?
I already have started.
Okay, great. Clean construction emissions policy for all publicly subsidized projects. That's kind of, do we have any public subsidized projects in our township? I'm not aware of any.
Well,
We're
the aqua and when you did the pipes, that was all subsidized, right? The electric and aqua. There was wasn't there some state funding for that, for the Pico?
Or there might have been state funding.
Yeah, state and aqua for the pipes for the, and you have to follow all the guidelines from that, but that's really kind of
Yeah, but that,
state department.
yeah, that's not municipal, you know,
Right.
local.
Yeah. Burn ban, there's a burn ban. in this
There is a
township.
burn ban,
Yeah,
yeah, so that one's
yeah, it's
easy.
done.
Done.
It's in the
I'll send
ordinance.
something in that basically says we have one.
There's an ordinance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
I got cited.
So you know it works.
Harry, it works.
Actually, he waived the fine, but
And you haven't done it
I
again.
have mixed feelings about it. I think they should have fined everybody else, but not to me.
Next one we have is the waste hauler thing. Joe and I've been working on looking at that from a pollution standpoint. I'll put you on the list, Joe.
Yep.
For that one. 18A.
See, it's interesting that 17E uses the word "and its municipal waste hauler,"
Yeah.
suggesting there's
There's a-
one.
Yeah.
Mhm. That isn't.
Sorry, I just,
No.
And you told me that contract is up for renewal.
The recycling contract is currently out to bid, yeah.
But remember, Steve, I had given some issues to Steve and he was going to weigh into it because of the the classification of a type 2 township
Mhm.
and the limitation of, you can't put restrictions on the amount of haulers and stuff. So he was going to check into that and get back to you guys.
I haven't heard anything, but
Yeah.
I'll make note of that.
They don't address recycling here.
Ooh, at 18A, that's a wetlands.
Maybe.
Protect what-
prohibited by law.
Yeah, we can discuss, I can do that with, I'll do 18A with Cindy.
Cindy, anything with
Yeah,
water.
that's,
is
because
Cindy.
that's the wetlands. We have actually 3 identified wetlands in the township.
I'm gonna put you down for that one, Sheila. Is that okay?
Yep.
Gonna go even faster. Environmental stewardship has to do with policies and ordinances to conserve sensitive areas, slopes. Yeah, code should be on that.
Cindy, that's a Cindy.
Yeah. We gotta find something for Harry to do here, though.
Well, I'm fine, I'm just.
Well, techniques preview, I'm at
else?
18C, low
Water
impact and green
stuff.
development project.
So I have a rain barrel, which I was given to by Kathy from Historical Society. She was going to give it away. I said, please give it to me because I'd like to take it to some tabling event. So we could talk about our residents installing rain barrels as a way of controlling water. So that might fit in here. Not that I want to write this one up.
Harry, how do you feel about 18C, just writing something for the codes department? Advice to the codes department on this subject.
Putting your name here.
You got it.
Okay.
Harry, you can also talk with Cindy because I know she did some of that research when she was looking into the property that was in litigation last fall, remember? So she has a lot of documentation on that.
I'll let Harry talk to Cindy.
Yeah.
Trees.
Next one I have is protection policies, tree commission. That's not us. That's good. Next one is 18E, having to do with natural resource inventory.
Yeah.
George had talked about that. You said it's exists in some form.
Yeah, it's in the comp plan now, so I don't think you would have anything you need to do with it.
I'll look over the comp plan and just give you something.
Yeah,
a little.
that's great. Chapter 6.
Okay. Next one I have is 18F, sustainable landscape maintenance practices. Again, seems like it's redundant to me.
Mhm.
So we're gonna bow out of that one.
Well, it's converting yards to native plants.
Yep. Next one I have is, looks like the next page.
Converting yards to native plants.
So we all should have
numbers are
more native plants as
Can you
part of
give
our
me just a
yards.
little blurb?
You
What
see another
number?
one,
Yes,
the
I
next
can tell
one,
you
Joe?
why.
23A.
And I can link it to a native plant item on the website.
Okay.
Add that.
All right.
Thank you.
23A, land use and transportation. I can take a look at that, but it's kind of tied to the comprehensive plan again. I'll take ownership for 23A. Next one I have is 23D, green space, open space plan, which benchmarks and reports the results annually. You know, our Greenway report did something like that, so I'll just extract what's in there.
Okay.
Next one I have is, here we go, 24E, is that the one you?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You know, for 23B, you should also look at the master plan for the Newtown Square Meadow Preserve. There's a lot of documentation in there for that,
Okay,
and that's on the website as well.
all right.
Right, yes, it's a significant bird area. Too. There's ecological significance.
I have 25A, local economy, waste and recycling ordinance and regulations are in compliance and enforced per Act 101. I don't know anything about that, George. Oh,
That's not us.
no, that's not us. That's good.
24E.
Yeah,
24E is the.
24A.
This is again, business.
This is part of our business initiative,
Guys,
so
is that an alarm?
Mm-mm.
What is that?
Don't know what that was.
what it was.
That was Steve playing over there.
No,
Oh, that was
the
your
Was that you?
Vibrate next to the
Is
screen.
that you?
That was Bruce's phone. He's blowing up over here.
Oh, I came over this way.
It's
is.
okay, Chris.
It went through the.
Bloody hell, I'm thinking we're gonna blow up or something. I'm out the door
Evacuate the
here.
building.
I am out this door.
Uh,
That's why I said your door.
So
Is that you?
I'm gonna let Dane do 24E. I'll pass that on to him. Dane and I are gonna meet with Paul, I think next week sometime to talk about what we're gonna do with the business community.
Oh, good. That would be great with Paul.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Next, I have us down as 25H. Preferable purchasing program. We can make a recommendation, but that's kind of all on you, Rich and you guys.
Right.
Next page, and this is what I think is the final page, right?
Yes.
And we're not here. So we made it through.
Yay.
Good job.
We're out of time. Let me just tell you, let me just go through the final two items in the, on the agenda. Final. Yes, 4 items, but we'll be real quick. Rain garden, that project is finally done after 2 years. Even the DEP is amazed how long these simple projects took with the pandemic. It was just undoable project, but I think we had about a total of 25 volunteers over the course of 2 days, planted 2 rain gardens, one in front of the township building right out here. Should check it out, and the other one up by the ball field.
They had
And I'd like to
3,000 plants and
thank-
Cindy should be incredible.
Oh, Cindy did an
Yes.
incredible
Yeah.
job.
3,000 plants planted. That was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Plugs.
And I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for passing a resolution commending the Environmental Advisory Council
Mhm.
for this project.
Oh, that's great.
It's part of the
Mhm.
documentation that came out
Oh.
for our meeting tonight.
Oh. Didn't see it.
Need to know.
I don't do anything.
There it is, signed.
Oh,
Yes, it was very nice.
that's great.
Yeah.
Gable Park, that's coming up on the 16th, and like Cheryl said,
Yeah,
Sheila
there's,
said, we have a lot of volunteer need.
and I know Cindy sent that out to everyone, the sign up genius. So if you could also
Yes.
share that with your friends. And I know she said that there was some heavy lifting. So we definitely need some strong individuals to kind of do some of that if possible. So the more the merrier. And it's from 9 to 1. So if we can get more people, we could actually end earlier, which would be really
Yeah.
I
helpful.
was gonna say I can come later to that.
Yeah. Well, if we can get early,
14th
the
in the
better. So we can get, you know, what I mean, get in and get out because
We're supposed to have some corporate volunteers at 3 o'clock that day, but I think it might be iffy. Is that true?
I think that was the Friday she was saying.
Yes,
Friday,
the day
right.
before.
The day before,
Oh,
and then
okay.
to try to take the offload off for the community event that she has for the Saturday. So
Mhm.
I think if we all share that and with that and share it off heavily with the community as well. Because it's great to see with so many, organizations in this, if we just go out a little broader, we can't just have the same people. It's not there. They all have their own lives too.
It's on the township website too, the sign up. Accessible there.
George, this is kind of a detail of the project. You're gonna be drilling some holes after locations. are
We will.
marked.
So CRC is going to be identifying, actually, I think the week before, they're going to put flags where everything's going to go, and we're going to
Okay.
pre-auger
Good.
all the small ones, and then where the bigger bare root trees, we'll take the backhoe in and
Oh, okay.
and dig it out. Again, we'll get the holes ready, and then
Right.
people can shape them.
And then Sustainable Business Initiative, I mentioned that. Dane and I have been working on this. We're meeting with Paul. I think it's on the 14th to bounce the program off him. And he's already said he's in favor of it. he wanted to get things in order before Paul ran with it. So
Paul has run.
he's probably already running with it, but
No, what's great about Paul, God bless him, he gets an idea and boom, which is great. That's why he's so good not to be in government, because government would slow him down. If he had to like answer to people and do that, God bless him, he has no, I tell him how lucky he is not being the supervisor, because it would have killed his mojo, because he is like, he's a get it done, let's do whatever needs to be done type guy, which is phenomenal, and I love him dearly.
Yep. And trash collection, we're looking at Joe and I have been looking at trash collection, and we're scheduled next to meet with Rich and share some of the numbers that we came up with and see what happens from there. And we recognize there's a whole bunch to do downstream of any decision made about consolidating trash, but we're just going to provide numbers and a recommendation as to what to do. With that, we're at item number 10 or number 9, public comment. Cheryl, you have anything to share with us?
Could I just ask a short question on the trash?
Yeah.
I saw out of the corner of my eye that the county is studying its trash collection issues.
Mhm.
And I didn't know that the county was involved in trash collection, other than maybe they collect their own trash or something. But
Yeah.
have you seen anything
Incineration.
about that?
They
haven't
use the
seen it,
incinerator in Chester, and they're talking about how using that affects quality of life and trying to find different ways, because some of the county trash is burned in Chester and it impacts, you know,
Residential
A
trash,
lot
you're
of
saying.
Yeah.
trash
residential
is
trash.
sit there.
Yeah.
But I recall when we had the chief sustainability officer here, her mentioning something about
I'll
looking
look
at,
I'll look. her
yeah.
stuff. I'll look at this.
Ovant.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's basically, the point is, once it leaves us, we really have no idea where it goes or control over, and it's based on who we choose and where they send it to. And that's what the discussion was, you know, being mindful of where our trash goes, because it impacts other people.
All the trash haulers probably take it to the same place, right?
No, I
That's
mean, it
maybe
depends on, there's landfills up in Lancaster, there's some that burn, some that ship. I mean, there's a variety of ways to get rid of trash,
Mhm.
and some that, you know, aren't ethical as others who just
Mhm.
dump it, you know what I mean?
Well, we had talked about that, I think, when we first started talking about this project, and I think everybody here had some input as to like what, if we do go forward with this initiative, the trash hauler that is chosen, like what they do with the trash, what, you know, what are their policies and stuff like that, and how, you know, how does that affect us, you know, environmentally and stuff, so.
And I'm a little concerned about, you know, it's great to be available in terms of recycling every week, but then it's promoting, we're feeding the beast. I would like it for us to find ways to reduce, you know, our recycling and our trash, because we are creating too much. So maybe just if we're mindful of how we purchase, and we buy one box that's in another box that's sent through Amazon in another box. So we have to be mindful of what we're doing. But my concern is, I don't want to encourage people to get rid of their trash easily. I want them to stop using so much trash would be helpful.
Well, recycling is going to be on the agenda for the next meeting, because one of our frequent guests has concerns about the integrity of stuff that's being put in the trash,
Right.
in the recycling
In the
bins.
recycling, sure. So, and that's one of those things that comes up over and over again. I mean, there's, you know, accusations that the recycling is just actually thrown out.
Right.
What I would say about that is, in my experience, DEP monitors that very carefully.
Mhm.
And they know what they're willing to let happen and what they're not willing to let happen. If a hauler was getting rid of recycling in trash, DEP would fine them up, down, left, and right for
Really?
doing it. They forbid it.
Mhm.
So do I think sometimes maybe you could have a cleaning company that takes the blue bin and takes the black bin and throws it all in one thing? It's possible.
Right.
Do I think the haulers are just wholesale throwing it out?
Mhm.
I don't think that they would.
Mhm.
Again, I don't work with them specifically, but I don't
Yeah.
think they would. When I've spoken about it, you know, DP would come down pretty hard on that.
Does anybody go out and look at the facility?
So I've been to the facilities before. I mean, not every single one of them, but I've been to the facilities before. And again, recycling is a commodity.
Yes.
And
There's no money.
recently, there hasn't been money in it, but that is starting to change a little bit. I mean, some of the haulers are saying that some of the materials are starting to be valuable again.
Yes,
So,
plastic is now, plastic because of the global chain issue, plastic is becoming more valuable now. So things will change and everything's based on behavior. And plastic was before, you know, a dime a dozen. Now, because of issues coming up with the materials that are needed to make plastic is becoming more and more valuable. So we again change our behavior based on what's available and the cost of things.
It plays in the items for the next agenda. I have two things written down. One is the recycling. We're going to have that little broader discussion of that. And the second is the the charging stations and the guest and
Solarize.
Solarize,
Delco.
right? Okay.
I would like, if we
I'll
could,
go to Ken.
I would like just to float the idea as for a future conversation to obviously really kind of go into it, but I would like to discuss the possibility of introducing or looking into a possible quiet zone for noise reduction, for noise pollution. And we can go into the details and it just would be a very, you know, voluntary type of a thing. We wouldn't, but it would be something I think it would really be helpful. And I'll provide some information about what the damage of hearing is based on, you know, the amount of blowers and all the equipment that's constantly used in our community and the 24/7 rules that even though we have noise variances that, you know, just something to think about and maybe try out in certain neighborhoods and make people aware of it. But noise pollution does impact us all in our lives. It's a quality of life issue.
Why don't I put you on the agenda to
Yep.
discuss that next meeting?
Some communities have banned
Yep.
leaf blowers.
Yep. But we're not going to do anything that violates civil liberties. We want to respect people. We just want to look at things that we can do to reduce.
Anybody else have suggestions for next time agenda? Okay, if not, then I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 6:43.